Hey guys, welcome to the No Bull Broker. I'm your host, Jonathan Lickstein, here today with the guest, Eliana Blech. But before I tell you about Eliana, reminding you what we do here on the No Bull Broker is we go behind closed doors, look behind the curtains of producers and professionals in the real estate industry because we are more than selling real estate, homes, apartments, condos, townhomes, villas, etc. We are people too. We have interests, we have hobbies, and we certainly have personalities. So today's personality, Eliana Blech. Eliana is based out of Highland Beach, Florida. And an incredible story about Eliana is some people had their career years last year during 2021, we'll call the COVID boom. Eliana did approximately 10 million last year, and she has already doubled her production this year over last year in a market that some would be perceived to be down. So that's an interesting story, and we'll dive in there. But welcome, Eliana.
Wow, that is a great introduction, and thank you for having me, Jonathan. I appreciate it.
It's my pleasure, certainly. I can't wait to dive into your business, but more about it. Tell us a little bit about your business and your brand. I understand you have a team.
I do have a team. So I got into the business at 18 years old, and at the time, both my parents are licensed and they had their own group. Neither one of them is active. My dad's a CPA, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, so I think they had done maybe 5 transactions amongst years of working together. But when I joined my brokerage, I was under my parents in their group. Our branding didn't necessarily align. I wanted to go more oceanfront and more personal. So my brand is Estates by Eliana. I have a group that I have for exactly a year. Monday will be 1 year celebrating Estates by Eliana's creation.
Awesome. And your branding is purple.
Purple, very simple, oceanfront luxury paradise.
And that kind of goes with your area, your farming area, Highland Beach. That's a kind of an exclusive community. It's not a big area, right?
Correct. So Highland Beach is a city where it is 1.2 square miles for the whole city, and there's only one commercial property in the entire area. So everything is really between Boca Raton and then Delray Beach. Highland Beach is small and pretty exclusive. It's almost all oceanfront or intracoastal properties.
So that goes along very much with your brand.
Correct.
So
that was the goal.
You mentioned your parents were in real estate but do separate things, right? Which is common among realtors, right?
Yep. So technically I'm a second generation realtor, but when I started I really didn't have any experience within real estate from them because again they don't sell houses. They just had the license to have it, which is part of how I ended up getting into real estate was to get the license to get it, and obviously it didn't quite work out in that way.
Obviously, right? To always have that option, and that very much your family is a great example of why I always say every household should have a real estate license, and you guys went to the max, and everybody in the house has a real estate license. But let's go back to that story. So you got into real estate, you got your license initially because your parents had a license.
To an extent. So I got my license initially. I was a freshman at Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, and I was very involved in a lot of organizations on campus. But one of the things that I noticed was lacking, especially in the organizations I was a part of, was that there wasn't a real good connection to the city around it, which is one of the reasons that I had chosen Florida Atlantic University, was because I knew that there were a lot of successful business people in Boca and the surrounding areas. So I founded a mentorship program at Florida Atlantic University called the Hillel Career Accelerator Program. And in our first year, we did about 27 pairings for students with either a job or an internship or something to that extent. And so my father had approached me and he goes, well, you want to go to law school? I was on the pre-law track there. And you're really wasting your time. You're not ready for an internship yet. What are you doing? And I was like, well, I love talking to people. I love the networking aspect. It's great. I'm just having a good time. It's my college experience is networking. I love it. He goes, just get your real estate license. Mom and I both have it. We've never sold a house. You don't have to worry about it. Just get the license so that you have a business card and you have something that elevates you different than being in college. So just something extra, get your license. So I did and ended up getting my first referral a few weeks after that. Loved it and just kept going with it and realized that real estate became a big passion of mine and is something that to this day I'm very passionate about. So it was because they were licensed to an extent, but it was really just to get a business card at the end of the day. That was my objective.
So the positioning was to not just be a college student, but to have something else
Correct.
that you're kind of holding yourself up in business conversations and the networking events that you were going to.
Correct.
Interesting.
Yep.
Very wise words to a young student.
I was very lucky.
So, what were you studying in school again?
I was pre-law. I wanted to be a divorce attorney. So my goal was to graduate with a political science criminal justice degree and then go on to law school and end up in divorce law.
Okay, I can't say that many people aspire for that one, but
It was an odd goal.
and real estate agent is a far deviation from that. But I could benefit from a divorce attorney, right? Transactions are derived from life events.
Correct.
So, going along with that, deriving transactions through life events, have you found that you cater any of your marketing towards life events or to relationships that you see around you?
To an extent. So a lot of my marketing, because obviously right now I'm 22 years old. I've been in the business for 4 years. I've been a broker for 2 of those 4 years. So a lot of my marketing has to appeal to people that I don't already know, just because my center of influence is not necessarily home buyers or sellers in my price point in which I work. So a lot of my marketing has become lifestyle, and I think big part of that is just living on the beach. My apartment has a view of the ocean, so being able to post that and relate to people. Starting in January, you'll see a lot more marketing in Highland Beach for me, but that's insider information that only the location family knows at this point.
Oh,
Couple magazines, couple of articles coming out, so that'll be a good shift for the Estates by Eliana brand.
awesome. So you're shifting marketing. We're not going to go into the details exactly what you're going to do, but that sounds exciting. Residents of Highland Beach, if you're listening, keep an eye out for Estates by Eliana. Wow. Ugh. Anyhow,
A lot of ease.
a lot of ease, but I like it. It kind of flows. But so you're making a shift in your marketing. What has caused you to want to make this shift?
So currently a lot of my business, a good majority of it comes from cold calling. It's about 50-50 between referrals and cold calling. And right now, a lot of my business is in the Boca Raton, Delray Beach, Highland Beach area. I really don't work outside of those 3 cities. But I do want to become the exclusive resident realtor of Highland Beach. So shifting from a lot of GL homes and newer construction properties to oceanfront and luxury oceanfront condos. So it's a little bit of a shift in marketing, which automatically comes with a shift in branding as well.
Okay. Does that change any of the techniques that you use when you are marketing?
Not to a large extent. It's going to change the demographic of who I'm marketing to. It's no longer going to be families and, single family large homes. It's going to be more so people who are in the stage of their life that they can be on an oceanfront property. It's a different demographic. It's a different needs and wants. But I already do a lot of that. So it's just going to be a more direct focus on that half of my business as opposed to the single family and newer construction half of my business.
Awesome. Awesome. You're just catering to a different target.
Correct.
And your marketing has to fit the target and what will generate some type of emotional response from them.
Correct.
Well, fantastic. So it sounds like you've really dialed in on your branding, you've dialed in on your messaging, you've dialed in your target audience and where you want to be, and you're well on your way. But it doesn't happen that easy for a lot of people in our industry, and you have to find that path. And being so young and having been so young to real estate, I mean, you said you're 4 years in. I don't even want to tell you how long I've been in. I used to feel like the young one in the industry, and it's quickly going away from that. But going back, you've learned things at such a rapid pace. What is something you wish you knew 4 years ago when you started?
How challenging it would be to really market and brand yourself. I kind of thought that when I got in the business, people would see a young 18-year-old and want to give that young 18-year-old a shot at these multi-million-dollar transactions and give that young agent a shot at being their representative. And I quickly realized that the people in my sphere that I got the business cards to target really, they didn't want to work with someone who was a newbie rookie at the business. So I had to redirect my focus into a lot of training and a lot of making sure that I'm the expert and I'm not looking for a favor. I'm looking for an opportunity. And that shift in focus from, expecting the business to really earning the business is something that I wish I had expected at 18 years old and didn't necessarily have to learn on the way. But it was a good learning opportunity, so I'm glad I got there. But that would definitely be something to look out for any younger agent getting in the business.
Awesome. Definitely good advice. It's nice to be able to reflect back and now become the mentor of somebody who's coming into the industry. And I understand you do that quite a bit with people in your sphere. You have become a go-to person of expertise in just 4 years in real estate, which is actually an eternity. It's double most, right? But you become a resource yourself. So putting the shoe on the other foot as the mentor to the mentees, how do you feel that most people enter the industry now? Is it with a solid expectation, and are they able to quickly pivot into what it really is?
So, first of all, thank you. It's still hard to think of myself as mentoring others, although I know I do that quite a bit. It's hard to really adjust to the mindset of being a mentor and not a mentee at this point in my career, though you're obviously always a mentee to an extent. Um, I've found that a lot of the people that are just getting into the business, especially in the under 40 sphere that I work with, have an expectation that it's going to be challenging, but necessarily have the drive to work for and overcome those challenges. So, working for your success, I think, is very important. A lot of these individuals have other jobs, which is commendable in my opinion. I mean, I was a full time college student, but aside from that, real estate was my only job. So, finding that people have other jobs and still expect to succeed without not necessarily putting in that full time to real estate is, I think, a big hurdle for people. You need to put in 40-hour work week at a minimum to really start seeing results, and that's a big challenge for people.
Yeah, you hit something really on the head there. You have to treat it 40 hours a week like it is your job, period. This is a career. This is, yes, you're opening your own business, but you get out of it what you put into it. And if you treat it like a part-time, couple hours here, couple hours there, that's how you're going to benefit. A little bit here, a little bit there, nothing special. So if you want to make real estate full-time, you need to treat it as full-time, right?
Correct. It sounds so cliche, but consistency really is key with real estate and any other career for that matter, but especially real estate where you're not in a 9 to 5 position, you don't have a boss. It's really your success is completely driven by your results.
So you're a very driven individual. You're very disciplined, hardworking, and you've been able to kind of evolve into what you've become today. So it's hard to stay motivated and get to that point. And for most people, it seems easy for you. You make it look easy, but
I make it look easy. It's definitely not easy.
it's very challenging for people to get to that and push through. Where real estate is such an individualized industry, you're working by yourself. Yes, you're as part of a brokerage. Yes, you have a broker. Yes, you could be part of a team. But every day, day in and day out, it takes so much self motivation. How do you keep yourself motivated? How do you unwind? How do you recharge? How do you keep going?
So the honest to God answer to that is not taking a step back and always taking multiple steps forward. So I tend to recharge by being around people. I'm very extroverted. I like that camaraderie aspect of what you need in a business to really succeed. So for me, the Realtor Association, getting involved, being with other leaders, being with other people who are equally, if not a lot more successful than I am at the business, and learning from them and using them as motivation to keep going, because it really does give you the outlook on what you can do if you just keep putting the time in. So I do feel alone at times. Real estate definitely is very individualized, but at the same time, I've developed great friendships like yourself who I can turn to and kind of keep that motivation and keep that relationship going, and pushes me to try to impress everyone and keep going further and further.
Excellent. So getting involved with the association is how you found community inside of real estate.
Absolutely.
Right? And I feel the same way, same exact feeling. When you're there, you're not competition. You're there for a similar purpose, really, right? So getting involved in networking is something that you started doing at a very young age while in college, right? That's how you even had this conversation begin in the first place.
Correct.
So going along with that, what do you find to be effective networking that you've done for your business? And what have you found to be ineffective networking?
That's a really good question. I know that there's definitely ineffective networking when you're too involved in something that's not procuring results. But at the same time, I don't really go with the mindset that there's ineffective networking, because a lot of my networking is with other realtors. It's something that many would deem to be ineffective. But for me, the relationships, the knowledge, the community, it provides me with a different level of service that might not necessarily come in the form of business, but comes in the form of value. The most productive networking that I've had, I will say, comes from the best follow-up. So it's not necessarily who's at the event, it's how many times and how successful you are at following up with the individuals that you met at that event. I'm very fortunate that I get to go to a lot of networking events with higher net worth individuals. A lot of that stems from my involvement at Florida Atlantic University. A lot of that stems from my connections from there that have kind of spiraled into having a seat at a bigger table that I might not have had the opportunity to have at 22 had I not had that prior start. But it's really just getting out there, talking to people, and going with the story that everyone has a story. So if you take the time to really learn and grow, it's pretty much always effective.
I love what you just said. Going with the story that everyone has a story, and that it could not be further. Wow.
I went to high school specialized in journalism, so all of my extracurricular courses in high school were either like broadcast journalism or newspaper journalism, and that was our school's motto. And I've been using it a lot more the past like year and a half, and I really appreciate it a lot more now than I did at 13, 14, 15.
Certainly.
Yeah.
We lose sight of a lot of things at 13, 14.
Correct.
But it's funny how it comes back around.
Exactly.
You know? Have you ever done anything that reminded you, oh my God, of my parents?
Oh my God, on my parents all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. I'm turning into my father, and it's the scariest thing and the best thing in the world.
So just like that surprises you, every day,
Yeah.
would you say real estate is surprising?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so surprising. Every day is different. Today I had a very set agenda, ended up having, change of plans for next week, and my entire agenda for this week was changed. There's always something new. The key is trying to find consistency in that newness. So making sure that I get in my set of 5 or 7 tasks that I demand I finish and accomplish every day keeps it a little bit more consistent, but real estate is always changing, always surprising, which is why I think I love it so much. It's never boring.
But you talked about a routine right there, some things that you do every single day. So what is your routine? Do you have kind of things time blocked? How do you do your day?
I try to, or I try to at least, if I can't follow that time block, change things. I wake up at 4:45 every morning. It's been working for me since I was in college. My deal with my parents was once I realized I really did have a passion for real estate, they said, go for it, be a loser realtor, do whatever you want, but graduate college. Do not come back with no bachelor's degree. So that was my arrangement with them, which was great, and I do have a bachelor's degree now. But in order to accomplish that, I needed to find time to do it. And obviously, like I said, real estate's at least 40, 50 hours a week, especially back then at the beginning. So starting to wake up at 4:45 every morning, work out, answer emails, have everything set up for the day for success, and then trying to follow my schedule that I set at that morning period as best as possible. So that's really been key for me, is those couple of hours where nobody else is awake, and if they are awake, they're sure as hell not calling you. So everyone just kind of leaves me to be, and I get to work on those individualized tasks.
Stuff that you need to do without the interaction with other people.
Exactly.
You get done first.
Exactly.
Completely agree.
Like I said, I'm very extroverted, so the second someone's willing to talk to me, I'm all ears and all excited for it. So those individualized tasks get lost very quickly in my world.
That makes a lot of sense. It's good to have that structure. Mm-hmm. But while real estate is surprising, you never know what to expect in any transaction that you're going into. Mm-hmm. Would you say you've had any crazy ones? Any just mind-blowing or hilarious showings, deals, interactions? We'd love to hear a story. Everyone has a story, right?
Everyone has a story. You said it best. Well, when you say hilarious, the first thing that comes to my mind is walking into a vacant property where it wasn't so vacant and you had a couple of people in the pool engaging in sexual activity with my 80-year-old buyers, and I was mortified and embarrassed beyond belief. So that's my funniest real estate story. But
wait, let's paint the picture here. I need to feel this one. So vacant house, no furniture.
Vacant house, no furniture.
Go inside, and neighbors had obviously jumped the fence or gone around.
Correct.
It's a vacant house. I mean,
we assume it's neighbors. I did not show that property. I walked right in, and that door was slammed in less than 3 seconds.
Walk in, walk out.
Walk in, walk out. But like I said, you're in a different perspective when you're 19 years old or 20 years old. So my clientele is a lot older than I am. They're not young people. So it was very, very, very awkward. And that's definitely my most horrifying real estate experience.
You never know. It might have made them buy that house.
They did not buy the house. See, I thought it might have persuaded them. But no, they didn't want that kind of fun in their lives. They didn't like the neighbors.
Well, they were looking for a house with a pool. You never know. Anyhow, so change is inevitable in real estate, right? And we've certainly gone through a lot of changes over the last couple of years. And what's the number one question that you're probably being asked right now when you meet somebody? Oh, you're in real estate? How's the market? Where is it going? So
Always.
I'd love to hear your opinion on where we're going, where we are now, where we're going, and what do you have to look forward to?
So I'd say it's a very opportunistic market right now. We are definitely slowing down, but I don't think that we're crashing or anything to the extreme that the news portrays or anyone's portraying around us. So for my sellers, I'm advising them to sell now and list now before it does have a downturn in the market or a more significant downturn than we're already experiencing. But for buyers, the truth is that Florida is gorgeous. Florida is paradise. Where I live, there's only so many buildings that you could be building in Highland Beach and in other surrounding oceanfront and luxury homes and communities. So I think Florida is going to stay pretty strong. I think Florida is a great place to live. And as people evolve into being more remote and easier to work from home in every industry pretty much, we're going to hold strong locally at least because it is such a desirable community that we live in.
Yeah, it seems like South Florida is kind of exempt from so many of the market conditions. We
Correct.
have our own market within the market.
Exactly. I'm talking to I have a lot of referral partners all over the country and for the world for that matter. And I'll talk to them pretty much, monthly, if not more often than that. And they're like doom and gloom and it's horrible and it's falling apart and I'm out of business and I'm this and I'm that. And I'm like, really? I've had my strongest year ever and by double and a pretty good number at that I'm proud of. So for me, I don't think Florida holds the same level of frustration or the same hardships that other areas in the state will hold and the country for that matter.
And that's a good thing, but and it's a lot because of the paradise and the weather and the tax benefits and all the benefits there are to relocate to Florida. We saw a tremendous amount of relocation last year.
Correct.
Are we still seeing it now? How have you seen it change at all?
Absolutely. I'm seeing a lot longer days on market. So for properties that used to have full ask at one day on the market, I'm seeing them get maybe 10,000, 20,000 under ask at, let's say, 30 or 40 days on the market. So there definitely is a slowdown with that. But I have so many buyers coming down. Like you said, there's no state income tax. That's very unique. Only a few states have that opportunity. And if you look at someone's business expenses, 9 times out of 10 in other states, that's one of their highest, if not their highest expense. So because of that, there's definitely a slowdown in Florida. Definitely seeing higher days on market, longer days on market, lower prices, but not significantly lower that I would be concerned about purchasing or selling a home in Florida. I'm still seeing it hold out pretty strong.
Love the optimism here. I would agree completely. So we can't wait to see what the market holds for us. Outside of real estate, now we're going to peek behind the curtain of Eliana Blech and who she is.
Scary.
So behind the curtain, what do you do to unwind outside of real estate? You've completed your collegiate studies. You're a successful realtor. What do you do outside of real estate that you unwind with or you pass your time? A hobby.
That's a really good question. So first of all, like I said, I live on the beach. So a lot of my days, I don't necessarily go to the beach that often, but like walking in the mornings, things like that have become a big part of my routine I found to be very calming and enjoyable. Right now at this early stage, a lot of my days and my time are networking. So pretty much every day after showings and after work, it's networking opportunities. And like I said, I'm very extroverted. So as dorky as it sounds, I love it. I love my association events. I love my extracurricular activities and whatever else. Outside of that, I work for and help organize a mentorship program for soldiers who have PTSD and other related traumas, and personally have a mentee of my own that I've been working with for just over 4 years now, right around 4 years, who I met for the first time last month. So my once a week or so meetings with him and, taking the time for that organization and getting involved and helping with whatever it needs. It's mentorship and then trauma-based yoga. So learning a lot, educating myself on PTSD and other issues that I knew nothing about to try to help. That's become a really big passion project of mine. And aside from that, I'm the oldest of 4 girls. My sisters are my best friends, so hanging out with them, bothering them on FaceTime as many times as I can, helping them with their homework, whatever I can do to make their lives a little easier or a little harder in the moment, whatever I'm in the mood for. Just that.
Just staying busy. It
Just
sounds like
staying
interactions.
busy. As long as I'm busy, I'm happy.
Your dad was a smart guy when he told you to get into real estate. I'm not sure we've had somebody on here yet who enjoys interacting with others as much as you do, and just thrives and just has that need for that interaction. And that's part of what makes you so good in your business.
Thank you.
What is a skill that you have evolved along the way in your career?
A skill that I have evolved around the way.
You would say that at 18, I couldn't picture myself doing this, but now with the skills that I've learned through real estate or business or networking, what is a skill you have now that you didn't have at the beginning?
I'd say they're all pretty enhanced. I don't know if I didn't have them. Arguably, I'd say my public speaking skills and ability to convey my message, especially one-on-one to customers, but again, in big crowds. I've always been comfortable public speaking. High school, I would get up and do presentations in front of the whole school. I was on student government, so very involved and was always okay with it. But being able to really adequately convey my message is something I've gotten a lot better at. Just vocabulary and being able to have an easier time streamlining my thoughts. Except for that example.
We got the point, though. We're good.
We got the point. That's all that matters. Being able to get your point across. But that was hard. I think it's all been really enhanced. Everything that I've done, I've been able to enhance my skills, but I don't know if I've really developed skills that I didn't already have, but I've been working on that for a lot longer than 4 years. It's been, 10, 15 years in the making.
And what you just mentioned is getting your point across. There's a term, bedside manner of doctors, right? Mm-hmm. And how they deliver bad news or good news to a patient. And there's a way that you can deliver your message, right? So we could start a whole new book about realtor bedside manner and how you convey messages to your customers and your clients, good news, bad news, indifferent, etc. But if you have bad news to deliver, we're going for the guidance section here. If you have bad news to deliver to a customer along a transaction, real estate can be emotional, right? Mm-hmm. Would you agree?
Almost always, if not always.
So a residential transaction, mm-hmm. A family is under contract to buy a home and you have bad news. Something went poorly. How do you deliver that message?
Positive, negative, solution. That's always my system. So positive news is, we've been looking, we're under contract, and let's say the deal's not falling through, but the roof is falling apart and that they're about to back out of the deal. The positive is, great news, we are under contract, you're going to be able to move down here, whether it's this property or another, we're good to go. Then it's the negative news, but we found, there's a problem with the roof, there's mold in the property, whatever it is. So here are my two options for you. We can either, move forward with this property or we can cancel out and find you another one. But either way, we're going to get you down here. I'm very confident in that. So being able to just keep that positive spin, be very unemotional. That's part of the reason that I thought I would have been a good divorce attorney is that I know how to deliver news in an unemotional manner. And I always thought that would be helpful. And it does really hold true with real estate, being able to really stay calm, cool, and collected in the face of someone else's chaos.
That's calm, cool, and collected in the face of somebody else's chaos. Mm-hmm. I just took that last line, and I love that. And that's exactly a piece. In a real estate transaction, there's a lot of ups, there's a lot of downs. Mm-hmm. Right? Nothing is ever just balanced across the board. There's ups, there's downs, there's a roller coaster ride of emotions going through. And it takes that calming voice where you're kind of the therapist in the transaction. You are the rock, you're the solid piece that everyone can go to. Would you find that this role has changed through your career or what you have seen in real estate? That you are the core of a transaction, or is it just purely transactional, paper pushing? What would you say that level is? Not for you, but I'm saying what have you seen?
I don't think that it's really ever going to change or has changed. I think that realtors are always going to be the core of the transaction because A, they are the knowledgeable individuals within the transaction that have the most wide range of experience. So I've worked with my title company, I've worked with other title companies, mortgage brokers, insurances, home inspection companies, whatever it is. And because of that, I think that you are the core of the industry at all times. You're also the core of the transaction because you are the individual that's dealing directly with the customer and again, directly with their emotions. I think it does evolve the more you're in the business, learning how to be that core and take on that responsibility with open arms. But I do think that realtors will always be and have always been the core of every transaction.
I agree with you. And coming from outside, there's been a lot of involvement from organizations within our industry, right? Mm-hmm. That are trying to come in and monetize different aspects of a realtor's involvement in a transaction. And how do you see that having changed the way that we work? Or can you see parts of it? Why are these companies coming in? Why are they trying to replace us when the realtor is the core, right? The realtor is the glue in the middle of the transaction. How are they replacing us? And what have you seen the attempt? I'll just give you the question at the end here. Mm-hmm. What have you seen as the attempt to take away? Mm-hmm. And why do you feel that's either at risk or safe? So
I want to start with I don't blame them. It makes a lot of sense on paper. for argument's sake, realtors do have a relatively easy time getting into the business. It's not a super hard exam. It's not a super hard amount of prep work, which is why I was able to do it while I was in college. And these organizations who might not have on-hands experience or in the field experience in real estate are seeing the commission checks that realtors are making and seeing the easiness of getting into the business and taking that as an opportunity to try to push their way into the organization, into the industry, and cut realtors out. But to be honest with you, their results speak for themselves. I'm very results oriented. And I think it was you actually that had shared on Facebook that some of those organizations have now converted to like Spirit Halloween stores, quite literally.
It was a meme. It was a meme. I shared
it. It was a meme. It was a good one. It made me laugh. I still remember it. But at the end of the day, they're not there anymore. They've almost all filed for bankruptcy or canceled those programs because they were not successful. And again, the reason they were not successful is because realtors too holds a lot more value and core in the transaction than one might instinctively understand. And because of their lack of results, they've failed at trying to cut us out. So I think that the only indicator of change or of how it's affected my industry or people on my level as selling realtors is really just my interaction with other realtors and how they handle their business. So it's not these big conglomerate organizations that are trying to take over. It's really local, hyper-focused, market conditions and how others in my industry are handling themselves that changes what I have to do.
Yeah. So technology can't really replace the human element of the real estate transaction, but there are tremendous benefits in technology, tremendous benefits of utilizing technology in your business in one aspect or another. Are there any technology pieces that you couldn't live without, or what are you excited to see on the technology field?
So that's funny because I think my first time really starting in real estate technology was after I took your social media class, and that's where we met.
That's how we met, yes.
I took that class 3 times. I remember driving an hour and a half in the morning after a college class to go take it for the 3rd time.
I'm flattered, but it wasn't that good.
I still use my notes to this day, which is horrifying. And you were like, do you listen to Gary Vee? And afterwards I started listening to Gary Vee all the time. So it's definitely a big pivotal moment in my business. So it's funny you're asking me about technology. I'm like, I don't know. I turned to you for that. I have a really, really, really strong relationship with my customers on Facebook. So for me being able to post, and it's not real estate related, it's debates of the day. It's you like, pizza or pasta, New York or Chicago or whatever it is. And being able to interact and get their opinions on things and then respond to that is something that I don't think I could live without. But I'm not big on advertising. I don't pay for any leads or anything like that through social media. So it's just that easier platform to interact with more people.
It's creating engagement.
Correct.
Right? Engagement is a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I think I mentioned this in my class. I'm going to pull this out of the old hat. Conversations lead to relationships. Relationships lead to transactions. Mm-hmm. So the more you can engage with people around you, create relationships, the transactions will come. And that's amazing to hear that your business is completely referral driven on relationships. Mm-hmm. And that just, it really speaks volumes of your ability to network and be genuine and build relationships. And that's something that you can't lose sight of.
Thank you.
So many people in real estate think it's a sales industry.
Mm-hmm.
And in a sales transaction, there really isn't the relationship. We're more the therapist, right? We create these relationships, and whether they buy one house or another, they're going to buy a house.
Right.
Right? Everyone needs a place to live. It's one of those necessities in life. How do you find that you are successful in maintaining those relationships in the real world, as outside of social media, through human interactions?
So again, I'm really big on conversations with people. So I have a database where I can tag my customers and people that I know. And I guess this takes the magic out of it a little bit, but I can run that tag and just call them down the line. So it's really all about making sure that I'm consistently touching people at least once a quarter, always in the top of their minds, and that I do a really good job for my customers and the people that they recommend so that they continue to refer me business.
Yeah, there's 3 types of people who you will do business with. There are satisfied customers, there's dissatisfied customers. A satisfied customer will come back to you. Mm-hmm. A dissatisfied customer will stop 5 other people from coming to you, or you have a raving fan of your business. It sounds like your goal every transaction is to create a raving fan of your business to bring 5 more people to you through time.
Correct. I like to say that I'm not working for this year or last year or next year. I'm working for 5 years from now or 10 years from now. So even when I was developing my business plan for this year and I was going over my numbers, I kind of went in with the mentality that if I sold 5 million, 3 million, 10 million, 20 million, 40 million, I'd leave this year equally as happy as long as I built more relationships. And I like to hope that all my customers are raving fans. I had one that I wasn't so sure of, and I got 2 referrals from him this week alone, actually. So it's really just about making sure that you do the right thing. You follow up with them. You wish them a happy anniversary on the date of them buying or selling a home with you, and whatever else you could do to always stay top of mind.
So you're planning for the future. I don't think we've ever discussed this before. So planning for the future in real estate is a challenging thing because the
Correct.
market is so volatile. Things will change. Sales volume can go up, go down. You're constantly looking for business. And real estate has no retirement plan. So I know you're only 22. You may not have thought about this. But with real estate having no retirement plan,
Yeah.
and you always thinking about the future, have you thought about where am I going? What am I building to? What is my long-term goal to get out of real estate or my exit strategy for life?
So I think that's three different ways. One is I don't know. 2 is a lot of investment properties. I'm already looking to purchase my own properties to try to invest back in my industry and invest in what I'm working on. And the 3rd is I ideally want to develop a strong team of individuals that I can have them service my business for me. So a really, really, really strong showing agent who's comfortable driving all day and will show properties on my behalf. I'm good at cultivating relationships and getting those referrals in the door. But I'm not that great in the car all day driving from place to place. So someone that would be able to do that, someone that would be able to help me, with the buyers, with the sellers, with listing appointments, whatever it is. And then I would pick it back up. My favorite part of the industry is really negotiating. Second to the relationship building aspect of it. So being able to just cultivate what I'm really good at and then hire people to do the rest. But I don't know if I'll ever want to open a brokerage or a team necessarily. It's something that's on the horizon potentially. But right now, it's an unknown factor of my future.
Well, I am excited to see what comes from your future.
Thank you.
To see you build that team and that group. I'm sure that you will convey to all of your team members the value that you place on relationship building. And if you can get them to echo that same message, building relationships will always be strong. Your team will always be strong. And that's no bull. Thanks for coming.
I
Eliana.
love it. Thank you for having me. It was a blast.